All right, good day, everyone. In today's video, we'll be talking about we're still under the concept of object-oriented programming in Python programming language. OPM Python programming language. So today we'll be talking about some other concept. Like we said the object-oriented programming is a paradigm centered around the concept of object. So, which can be seen as real-world entities or abstract units that combine data and behavior. So, when we're talking about modeling real-world scenario into Python programming language or any other programming language, we'll be talking about class. I've explained this earlier though, but let me just lay some emphasis on this. Now, a class is basically a blueprint or a template for creating objects, and it defines set of attributes or method that acts on those attributes. Then when we're talking about object is basically should I say object are basically instances of a class. The instance of a class is an object. So the other concept of object oriented programming approach, we talked about inheritance, which is a way whereby a child class subclasses from a base class or the parent class. Then today we'll be talking about encapsulation. Now, the idea of encapsulation is like binding the whole processes. In fact, object-oriented programming approach has encapsulation in mind because binding data attributes and methods that act on those attributes into a single unit is basically what encapsulation is all about. So the idea of encapsulation involves restricting direct access to some of the object's components or basically the attributes. So which means in a way you can use it to prevent accidental interference or misuse of data. For instance, for you maybe you mistakenly assign a value to a particular attribute. So that's the idea of using encapsulation. If you reduce direct access to some of the attributes of a class, you can use encapsulation to achieve that. So let's go back to some Python code here and reduce some of the explanation. For instance, what should I be working with? Let's say a class of account. Yeah. Now this is a class of account, and basically we have the dunder method in it, and let's take the owner of the account balance, and what again? Account number. Okay, we're just okay with just this account balance and that owner. So now I want to introduce some access specifiers here. Let me show you this what to reducing direct access to some variable is. So let's say self dot owner equals assign owner's self dot account balance then let's say self dot is active. Let's say just double underscore is active equals true, then self dot let me just do this with any underscore, and let's say self dot what again do I need? Let me say bvn equals none. Okay, let me go with this now. Although it's always advisable to make this bvn a private attribute, but anyways, let's leave it this way. I just want to explain some access specifiers in Python programming language. Some other object-oriented, core object-oriented approach and programming language like Java. Yeah. So now they have what is called a constructor, Java, C++. I think those are the two I've come in contact with. They have a constructor. So in Python, This is assumed to be a constructor and is a method that gets called automatically whenever an instance of a class is created. So here, let me just have a getter method get account details, and here I'm returning self.owner, then self.account balance. Okay, I'm leaving this too. I want to show you basically what access specifiers is all about. So now the whole processes of encapsulation is what we have here. That's no big deal. The paradigm we are talking about is encapsulation is binding of attributes and methods inside a class. This method acts on those attributes. Now here we have a getter method which is to get the account details and returns this. In some cases you may have setter methods. You understand? So now these are the attributes. Here we are reducing access specifier. We are creating access specifiers here. We're making this to be private to avoid inadvertent change of this particular variable, the value of the variable. So this is basically public. This is protected. This is private. So this is the level of access specifiers in Python programming language. So to just show you that this is actually private, that you can access it outside this class, let's create an object of this class. Let's say account, account, and the owner is Daniel, and the amount is $10,000. Okay, now if I come down here and say account dot owner, you can see I can't access this owner because it's basically private. Whenever I say account dot is active, you can see I can access is active, and I can as well account dot bvn. So these are the two attributes you can access here. So these are the two attributes you can access here, but you can't access this because it is basically private. So that's what access specifier is in Python programming language. So if I go ahead to take down this and let me print account dot. So for you to access these two attributes here, we've set a getter method that returns the user, the owner, and the account balance. So you can say account dot get account details, and that's the only way you can access that. Let me execute. I can see here I'm having Daniel and $10,000. So that's basically what the concept of encapsulation is in Python programming language. Creating a class, creating objects, creating attributes, and creating methods that acts on those attributes. So that's the idea. Is the binding of all this together. The whole of this processes is just the programming paradigm in object-oriented programming approach that is called encapsulation. Before I go ahead, let me show you this. Let me say print 2 plus 2 and print 2 plus 2. Now, before we explain the idea of polymorphism, let's execute these two lines of code in Python programming language. Now, you can see, oh, sorry, I'm running the wrong file. Let me run, yeah, wrong polymorphism. Okay, now, let me expand so you can see. Now, you can see the first one executed to be 4 and the second one executed to be 22. Now, if you look at this very well, you can see that polymorphism is in kind of using the same function, the same function acting differently depending on the value it is called with or the object that called it. Now here, in Python, everything is an object. Look at this. We have a class of int, a class of int. Addition operation on integer is basically addition, while addition operation on string is called concatenation. So in Python programming language, the idea of polymorphism is a function or a method that act differently depending on the object or the value in which that particular function is called. So if you look at this now, here we have print 2 plus 2, which returns 4, and print 2 plus 2 as string, and it returns 22. Here is concatenation, and here is addition. So let's just have a little snippet of code here. Instead of taking much of your time, let me just have a little snippet of code. Okay, okay, all right. Let me follow the enhancement proposal. Okay, now look at this. We have a class of animal and we have a def of speak. Now this speak is in kind of generic. So here we have another class of dog that subclasses from the main class, which is the animal, and it also declares that speak method in it. But in this aspect is returning woof, which is the sound the dog makes. Then we have another class of cat that subclasses from the class of animal. So this animal class is like the base class, and here is subclasses from the class animal. And you can see here they speak, and this is the sound a cat makes. So this is the idea of polymorphism. Here we have two functions with the same name and with the same attribute. I mean, it doesn't accept any attribute whenever it's called. Now, in this aspect, it acts differently based on the object that called it. So here we have make animal speak. They will pass the animal, then execute. And now let's see what happens here by running this current file. Now when I run, you can see the first one, which is a dog, makes this sound, and the second one, which is a cat, makes this sound. They are the same method in the same class, but they act differently. So I mean, this, yeah, basically that the method in the same class, which is base class, and they act differently. In this place, the attributes, I mean, the value it returns is overriding. It's overriding here. The same thing is applicable here. So that's basically what polymorphism is all about. So in the next class, we'll be rounding off object-oriented programming in Python programming language. Then we start building real-world application using Python programming language. So in that aspect, we'll be building application, web application in Python programming language. This aspect, we'll be learning Django framework. Django is a web framework for Python programming language. So let us explain now. In the next video, I will see you where we detail more on Django, a Python web framework. Thank you very much for listening. If you love this video, give me a thumbs up, comment what you like about this video. Remember to follow and click the notification bell and get notified whenever I drop a new video.